Hi, Raymond Moran here with the V20, talking today with Ben Elder, and we're thrilled to have Ben with us. He's the Global Leader of Valuation for RICS, chairs the IVSC Tangible Asset Board, and one of the leaders of the V20 movement. Ben, welcome. Hello, it's always great to see you. It feels like after last year's successful V20 event in India, V20 Brazil is rolling right along with some great panelists, speakers, and organizations coming on board. What gets you most excited about V20 Brazil?
Thanks, Ray, and thanks for having me on the show again. That's really great to be part of this initiative, because it is a really, really important initiative, this, to raise the profile of the valuation profession. We'll probably come back to that as we have a conversation today, but that process of the professions coming together, the valuation professions coming together as one voice, which really raises that profile of the importance that we provide to decision makers. And that collegiate approach is very, very refreshing. That we are valuation professional organisations from around the globe, but we can unite underneath the international valuation standards in the recognition that our clients' better decision making all hinges on us providing information into the marketplace which is understandable, and our clients don't have to spend a long time trying to interpret between different standards. At the moment, we've just finished the cricket World Cup, and we're now into the various football competitions. And it's quite interesting when you think about those sporting events, that the only reason they can take place internationally is because there's a set of rules that everybody understands and plays to. We don't tell which team how to play their tactics, because they play to their strengths of the people who are involved in that part of the team. But having the consistent rules within which to play allows that competition to take place. And I see the valuation profession as part of that coming together under a consistent set of rules, which then allows the VPOs to compete between themselves on service to their members and etc. But being able to make sure that cross-border valuations are consistent, transparent, reliable, which all supports the reputation of the profession, which is absolutely vital to trust and confidence.
That's very well said, Ben. And you mentioned rules and standards, which reminds me that you're moderating a very interesting session, the role of international and local valuation standards, with some terrific panelists from leading VPOs around the world. Can you tell us more about that session and some of the panelists?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, again, really excited to be involved in that, and quite an honour to be moderating it, and looking at some of the people involved and their commitment to the profession. It's quite humbling to think that they are actually all coming together to try to progress the V20 initiative. And we've got Mario from the Brazilian ABNT. We've got Lana from the ASA, and Robert from UPAV, and all augmented by Nick Talbot from the IVSC. So some great local but also international perspectives that we can draw on in that conversation. And I think, again, that's one of the things that excites me most about the V20 is through my experience in the valuation profession. It's very often seen that there are international standards which are really, really important. They're great, but they don't work here. We're different. And we've got to get that message across that international standards are international standards, but international is everywhere. It is everywhere, and so they've got to apply in the local markets just as much as they have in the international market, because that's how the confidence grows. and being able to have those great ambassadors for the valuation profession with slightly different perspectives coming together to share their experience and their knowledge about delivering high quality, transparent valuations that clients respect and trust is really exciting. And maybe I'm a little sad to get excited about valuation issues, but I certainly see them as aiding and abetting and supporting everything that happens, from providing schools for children, for transport, for energy, everything that happens. There are valuations which take place at various stages of the delivery process, and we should be immensely proud that we have that critical role in delivering services to industry, to decision makers. And ultimately, that's what the V20 is about, is trying to build that recognition for the valuation profession to support G20 activities.
Very well said, Ben. Over the course of the 2-day conference, we have many great tangible asset and business valuation sessions. Which other ones pique your interest?
Probably the ones around some of the technology and some of the AI issues, which are really cutting edge at the moment, and we're not quite sure as a profession how to deal with these changes. And I think that is going to be a really great session with some great contributions, but also some great questions from the audience, because we're all experiencing slightly different things. And whilst it can be scary, again, I think that the valuation profession has got to embrace AI and technology changes to see them as a tool to help us provide even better service to our clients, and not be scared about their implementation. The other ones which really I'll be in the front row on are around diversity and inclusion, and some of the attracting the next generation of valuers into our great profession, and then the ones which will look at the data and the inputs which come through. So some really great sessions to look forward to in Brazil in a few months' time.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think embracing technology and data are really going to help attract a younger group of valuers into our profession. So exciting. Beside the conference, we also have the summit, which is focused upon the leading valuation organizations and the regulators. Well, what is the ongoing goals and objectives of the summit, Ben?
Yeah, I think, again, a really good question to bring out, Ray, for understanding the whole purpose behind the V20. The V20 was initiated last year through meetings and summits in Delhi, in India, and these meetings follow the G20 presidency. So last year, the G20 presidency was held by India. It's moved to Brazil, and that's why the conference and summit are being held in São Paulo this year. Next year it moves on to South Africa, and then on to the US. So we are working alongside the G20, and the initiative is to try to get valuation recognized as an expert working group within the G20 structure. And what that would mean is that we as valuers could play a proactive role within the decision making of the G20. So we would be supporting all the activities that the G20 undertake, with valuations which are based on the international valuation standards, which creates that consistency, that benchmarking, and I would say that better decision making by the G20 in its entirety. So the summit is there to formally take forward the initiative from Delhi. In Delhi, we agreed that all the valuation professional organizations from the G20 countries would support the initiative. So that's taken place. We've now been working for another 12 months to put in place the follow-up sessions, and the summit at the V20 will be to re-engage and make sure that the VPOs from the G20s are still in full support of this idea of the expert working group for the G20. So I envisage coming out of the São Paulo summit a further declaration which says that we will continue to work with our South African colleagues to develop the next phase of the acceptance process for V20 within the G20 structure. So it's really the formality side, Ray, that is, the conference is the intellectual exchange side. The summit is the more formal recognition of the process which we have to follow to get full recognition of the V20 within the G20. And I guess probably the final comment on that is how important I see that as raising the profile of the valuer and the valuation profession to the highest levels, and making the regulators cognizant, aware of the importance of that valuation process for decision making, but also for them reflecting back on benchmarking to see whether projects have been successful. So that summit is I see it as equally important as the actual conference, if not.
It might be more important, actually. It's exciting to see the additional evaluation organizations getting involved this year, either actively participating or observing, with the goal of getting everyone actively involved. That's wonderful to see on a global basis for our profession. Ben, great conversation as always. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
I just think that I think a great deal of thanks is due to all the people who are putting in time and effort to make this happen. There's an enormous amount of work which is going on in the background, both logistically for the conference and the summit, but the ideas and the great atmosphere which is actually being generated by the V20 organization in itself, and the enthusiasm which is being embraced by all parties. It's hard work. We've had to make some fairly difficult decisions. We've had to spend a lot of time engaging with different parties, but the support and the camaraderie of the working groups have been absolutely fantastic, and I really enjoy that process. And to see tangible outcomes at the end and this whole project moving forward is very, very rewarding. And I would encourage anybody who's listening to this and they want to find out more or take part. It's not a closed shop. We are really enthusiastic to embrace as many people into this process as possible. So please reach out if there are organizations or people who would like to find out more about the V20. You'll be more than welcome.
Very well said. Ben, a pleasure as always. Looking forward to seeing you in Brazil in a short period of time.
Absolutely. Approaches very rapidly. So looking forward to it, Ray, and thank you for your support and help during the processes.
Absolutely a pleasure.